Welcome to the Midlife Edit, the podcast for women who are navigating the beautiful, messy, and sometimes sweaty journey of midlife. This isn't about a crisis, it's about an awakening. Join me, your host, Jen Weinstein, as I dive into all the things no one warned us about: hot flashes, brain fog, strength training, hormone balancing, and figuring out who the hell we are now. With a mix of expert insights, real talk, and a little humor, because if we're not laughing, we're crying, right? The Midlife Edit is your go-to space for embracing this season with confidence, strength, and balance. Whether you're trying to lift heavier, sleep better, set stronger boundaries, or just remember why you walked into a room, this podcast is here to remind you, midlife is not the end, it's just an edit, and you get to rewrite it your way. Hit subscribe and let's tackle midlife together, one episode at a time. This is the Midlife Edit. Let's make it a damn good chapter. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Midlife Edit. Today I have someone who's an author, a birthday coach, an artist, an astrologer, an environmental educator, and an unapologetic birthday enthusiast. She's here to convince us that your birthday isn't just cake and candles, it's a powerful ritual for joy, self-love, and transformation. Tamar Hurwitz-Fleming, welcome to the Midlife Edit.
Thanks, Jen. It's a pleasure to be here.
So we're going to hop right into it. As you know, at the time of this recording, tomorrow is my birthday, and I am a big birthday celebrator. You can ask everybody in my family. I've always been that way, but when I was 15 years old, I had to start sharing my birthday. My little brother was born on my 15th birthday.
Wow.
So shout out to Jimmy, who I was so angry about at 15 years old. Even at 16, I'm like, oh, it's your first birthday, and it's my 16th, but now everything's great, and I love sharing a birthday with him, but I am a birthday girl through and through. So excited to have you here. Tell me why birthdays are so important.
Well, birthdays are the day that our life began. Our life began on our birthday. I don't know what's more important to celebrate than that moment that our life began, because it is the beginning of everything that followed. It is the beginning of the reason we're here. It's the beginning of the life we're living. It's the beginning of the purpose-driven lives that many of us have. It's worthy of celebration because it celebrates us.
Sure does. And again, I'm a big birthday person, but a lot of people aren't.
Right.
So you view birthdays as a major holiday. I mean, it is your holiday, right? How can they spiritually and emotionally recharge us?
Well, as I just said, the birthday is the most important day of our year. Whether we observe our birthdays or not, it's just the way it is, because it is the day our life began. And so if it is the most important day of our year, it is a major holiday. And just like any major holiday, it's really worth celebrating, right? And exalting. And in terms of the spiritual riches that are there for us on our birthday, we're really spiritually aligned on our birthday, because again, it's the day we left our spirit form and became physical. And so when we come back to that day every year on our birthday, we're in real alignment with our spirit. And if we choose to tune into it, it's there for us, right? We just have to open up to it. It's almost like there's a door we can open. And as soon as we do, boy, that energy really flows. And for any of us who have tried that, have tried tuning in to the more spiritual power of the day in a fun way, it doesn't have to be serious or heavy or anything, but just that it's there for us. It's amazing what can come through and how uplifting it can be.
Just describing it right there just kind of already made me, whoa, I can't wait. So you said your turning point was at age 20.
Yeah.
What made you realize that your birthday happiness was in your hands and not in anybody else's?
Well, when I turned 20 was a turning point, but that story started when I turned 18. When I turned 18, I pretty much had the worst birthday I'd ever had. And that was my first year away at college. I was turning 18, which is a milestone birthday. I'm the baby of 4 kids, baby of the family. And I didn't have any plans for my birthday except to wake up to the phone ringing with everybody calling and to wish me a happy birthday. That's what I was expecting to do for my 18th birthday. And unfortunately, the calls never came. This is way before cell phones, but I'd rush back to my dorm waiting for the phone. It didn't happen. They forgot my birthday. And it was devastating to me because that's what I was expecting. I was outsourcing my joy to others to bring me energy, to bring me love, to bring me joy, but it didn't happen. I didn't communicate that. I didn't I mean, I was just assuming that would happen because of course it should happen. It didn't. And so it was really hard for me. And it unfortunately reinforced some negative self ideas I had about myself, that I wasn't important, I wasn't lovable, I didn't matter. And that was hard for me because we're sensitive on our birthdays, and those kind of messages sink in deeper when stuff like that goes awry. Fortunately, 2 years later, it was my junior year. I was living abroad in France, turned 20, another milestone. I woke up, still didn't have plans, but I realized I was far from home. There was no one around to do anything for me. And I thought, you know what? Today's my day. I'm going to take it and make it be what I want. I didn't go to class. I walked through town. I bought myself a fancy bottle of French perfume that I'd been eyeing but couldn't afford, but bought it that day on my birthday. And then later on, I had some student friends over for cake. And I ended up having the best birthday of my life because I took charge of it. And I realized it was up to me to make my joy happen. And it was transformational, that awakening, that realization. And from that point on, I understood the power birthdays have when we put ourselves in charge of our day.
I love it. So, and you kind of already touched on this, but how do we connect that self-worth and personal empowerment to our birthdays? I want to get into the birthday blues next, but that hits home for me a lot because, again, I love birthdays and I just feel like everybody should celebrate me without me having to ask.
Yeah.
So that kind of ties into the whole self-worth part for me. So tell me about the self-worth and personal empowerment part, and how we can tie that in.
Well, if we don't have a lot of self-worth, then it can be hard for us to ask for what we want. It can be hard for us to put ourselves in the center of our day and say, hey, everybody, it's me. Come celebrate me. We might quietly hope for that, but when it doesn't happen, or it happens in a small way versus the big way that we're hoping for, it reinforces our negative self-image that we're not worth much. We're not worth celebrating. People don't really care about us. I don't deserve to be the center of attention. Who do I think I am? There's all sorts of negative stories we tell ourselves in our daily life, let alone on our birthday. And in terms of empowerment, we can change that narrative. Instead of thinking, oh, I'm not worth much, who cares about me? Aren't I being self-centered on my birthday? We can say, yes, it is actually appropriate for me to be in the center of my life on my birthday. It is appropriate for me to put out the boundaries and say, okay, this isn't about anybody else today. It's about me. And ask yourselves, what do I want to do on my birthday to feel uplifted, to feel joyful, to feel special? It's up to me to do that for myself. I can invite people in, say, come to my party, bring me cake, join me for lunch. I can do all sorts of ways to include people in my birthday joy, but I can't sit passively, waiting for the phone to ring, right? I can't sit passively waiting for people to show up, read my mind, celebrate me the way I want, because it's never going to feel like enough. And it's a setup for failure when we sit passively and wait for other people to celebrate us. They shouldn't have to read our minds. We should be able to tell them, hey, my birthday's coming up next week, or my birthday's coming up next month. Can you join me for XYZ? Can you help me in this way? And if your friends are available, of course they're going to want to participate. They'll be delighted to help you, but you have to be empowered enough to take charge of what you want to do and ask for it.
And ask for it. And I talk about that a lot on this podcast because I speak to a lot of women, especially midlife women.
Yeah.
We grew up not asking for what we wanted. And so that's perfect. You have to ask. I have to ask for my birthday to be celebrated with somebody else if that's what I want. So let's talk about the birthday blues and how we can sabotage our own birthdays.
So the birthday blues are a thing. I wrote this book, How to Have a Happy Birthday, and it's a self-help book about how to have a happy birthday. And chapter 2 is all about the birthday blues because a lot of people don't like their birthday. I believe we exist on a spectrum, birthday positive to birthday avoidant. And we're all somewhere on that spectrum. I believe actually if you draw a line right down the middle, half of us are on one end, the other half are on the other. And so for those people that don't like their birthdays, as the birthday approaches, it's a real energy. It's like a wave of energy that's approaching. They start to feel it come. They start to feel the dread, the anxiety. They get depressed. They feel like it's coming and I hate my birthdays. I don't like my birthdays. I'm always disappointed. I always feel worse than I did when it's not my birthday. That they actively brace against the energy of their day because they haven't learned how to embrace it to be joyful for themselves. And so what can happen subconsciously is if we don't like our birthday, and I actually believe that a lot of our birthday issues started in childhood. We're very sensitive as children, wide open. We know we're special on our birthdays. And if something goes awry, even just once, it can shut us down. and make us feel like I'm not going to open up to that hope and joy anymore. Just, So, but as our birthday's approaching and we feel that energy, we can start to sabotage any joy we have. If we're in a mindset that our birthdays suck, they're not important, and I don't like them, right? So what happens is people come to you and say, hey, your birthday's coming up. What do you want to do? And you just brush them aside. I don't want to celebrate. Please don't talk about it. So you're not even letting people give you something positive and joyful. So one of the first ways we sabotage our birthday is, again, we ignore them. We don't talk about them. We don't let people know. We show up at work. We don't tell anybody. We show up in our lives. We don't tell anybody and hope it just passes. How can you have joy if you don't tell people it's your birthday? The second way we do it is that we don't plan for our birthdays. Let's say that I wake up on my birthday and, oh boy, I'm turning 60 today. I am turning 60 on my next birthday. And let's say I wake up without plans. Hey, everybody, I'm turning 60 today. You want to come over for a big party? Do you know how many people would not be able to come over at the last minute for a big party? Pretty much everybody. So I didn't plan. So guess what? I didn't have a happy birthday because people couldn't show up. Well, I sabotaged that. I should have asked a month in advance to have people come join me for my big party. So not planning is another way we subconsciously sabotage our joy. Like, see, nobody cares, nobody's available for me. And then another way we sabotage our birthday joy, and this is pretty subconscious here, is as we feel our anxiety heighten and our emotions tighten, we actively or subconsciously pick fights with people closest to us. Instead of just letting it go, instead of something do you do that?
I do.
Tell me.
So you're talking about sabotaging, and I said I love my birthday so much. But in my head, I think that everybody else should love my birthday, and they should do the planning for me. And then when it's not done, or it's not done in the way I think in my head, then my birthday's ruined. Prime example was last year, because I didn't ask for it. I didn't get it.
Right.
So this year, my husband's like, let's start asking for it now. What do you want for your birthday? What do you want to do for your birthday? It's all about you. And I think that's hard for me to be like, yes, it is all about me, even though I know it's all about me.
Yeah.
It's so hard to ask for what I want.
Yeah. And even though you talk about it, you just said you talk about, as midlife women, we need to start asking for what we want if we haven't already been doing it. So thank you so much for sharing that, Jen, because that's a real time example, especially with your birthday coming tomorrow, of how your energy builds, the expectation builds, the childlike excitement builds, but you start to feel like, are you going to show up for me? I'm almost testing how much you love me. If you can read my mind and do it for me the way I want, but that's a setup for failure. That's a sabotage. Not communicating what you want with enough advance time to help the people closest to you succeed in celebrating you is a sabotage. And so, but we do want to know how much people love us, but doing it on your birthday as a test is not the way to find out. You know your husband loves you. You know that. And when you say, hey, honey, this is what I want to do for my birthday, help me make it happen. And he does it and he shows up for you. You can trust that and be open to it and receive the love he's giving you. But you've had to ask for what it is that you want, so that it's not fair to make him a mind reader. It's just not. And then it puts pressure on him and you end up having a bad birthday, even though you love your birthdays, right? So this is a really good example of how even if we're birthday positive, we can sabotage our birthday joy because we expect others to do the work for us that only we can do for ourselves. And that's kind of like having childlike expectations, which is another sabotage I write about in my book, which is that, if our parents did everything for us growing up, we just sort of expect our friends, our partners, our roommates, our colleagues to keep doing it for us, but they don't. Our parents don't hand us a baton when we turn, 18 and say, okay, you're an adult now, celebrate yourself, and here's how you do it. They don't do that. We just sort of enter up in our adult life thinking, oh, well, I guess birthday is the realm of childhood. It's not. It's just we have to take charge of it like our parents did. So that's a real big lesson. And it sounds like you've learned that lesson just in the nick of time.
Yep. That's
awesome. I'm happy.
I'm 42 and I'll be 42 tomorrow. But, and we did great things. 40th, we went to the Bahamas. 41, I didn't ask for what I wanted, so I didn't get it. And I mean, that's just the birthday blues thing and the sabotage. I'm like, oh, I don't have birthday blues, but maybe I do. Maybe I do sabotage myself.
Well, the sabotage is subconscious. And I want to say this to people. It is cruel for me to tell you that you actively sabotaged your birthday joy. That's cruel. That's not being compassionate to your experience with your own birthday experience, right? I'm not saying this is intentional. This is not intentional. Self-sabotage is often subconscious. Mm-hmm. I write about it. And again, it's chapter 2. I get right into it because it's such a big deal. Let's bring it into consciousness. Let's become aware of it. Let's start paying attention to our own patterns so that we can stop them and change them. But self-sabotage, especially around our birthdays, is typically not something we actively choose in our mind.
Yeah, love that. So let's get out of the birthday blues and let's go into how to design your day. And you say start planning in advance because, like you said, if you call somebody the day of your birthday, 9 times out of 10 they're going to be busy or they have something else. So how far in advance do we start planning our own days, and why do you think we should do that?
Well, if our birthday is a major holiday, let's analogize it to Thanksgiving or Christmas if we celebrate those holidays. Not every listener does, but let's assume people do. You don't wake up on Thanksgiving Day and say, hey, what's for dinner and who's coming, right? You plan in advance. You go to the grocery store, you set the table, you think about all that, you decorate the house. Same thing for Christmas. The Christmas season kicks in. I mean, unfortunately, it's starting to kick in, they just now. I mean, right? Halloween's happening now, right? Christmas is happening in September, but you know what I'm saying? Like right after Thanksgiving, wow, we've got Christmas on the mind. So it's the same thing with the birthday. Start planning your birthday. Start thinking about it at least 4 to 6 weeks in advance. You're going to start to feel the energy come and start to sketch out what could be fun for you. What day of the week is it? And I do recommend that if you can, take the day off work or your other responsibilities. Treat it like a major holiday. Give yourself the whole day all to yourself. What a great setup for success if you have the whole day to yourself to do what you want, right? But you have to plan for that. Take the day off well enough in advance so that your supervisor or your team or your family or whoever you're leaving for the day can say, sure, we can work with that, but plan for that. And then think, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? And it can be anything. It can be with people. It can be without people. Some people love to go on solo hikes. Some people love big birthday parties. Some people just want to go to a fancy restaurant. If you want to go to that fancy restaurant, you've got to make that reservation in advance so that it's available for you at the time you want. I just spoke with a friend who really wanted to go down to the hot springs. I'm in New Mexico right now. She wanted to go to her favorite hotel down in the South. And her favorite hotel is booked. Her birthday's in about 2.5 weeks. And she just called now to make the reservation. Sorry, no availability. So she really should have made that reservation weeks ago to ensure that she had what she wanted. Maybe the idea didn't occur to her, but she didn't start planning her birthday until recently. And she's had some challenges with her birthday. And we talked about it, and that encouraged her to sort of create the day she wanted, but she was a little late to getting that reservation she wanted. So think about that in advance. Set yourself up for success.
Love it. I love it. So let's talk about the role of rituals in creating meaning, and almost like your spiritual, physical, social, all the rituals around your birthday, and how do you create meaning for you specifically? Because everybody's birthdays are different and we all like to celebrate differently, right?
That's absolutely right. And that's why every birthday is unique. There actually is no recipe for celebrating birthdays. The book that I wrote is a self-help book for us to explore our issues around birthdays and to give some ideas of ways we can prepare and plan and celebrate the day. But in the end, the ultimate message is do what you want to do. And that's the most important path to follow, is your own. And so when it comes to finding meaning on your birthday, again, that's your journey. What I like to do, and this is something you might want to try tonight on your birthday eve, because birthday eve is a thing, just like Christmas Eve is a thing. So is birthday eve. I create a birthday altar in my home. I put up a birthday banner. I put up pictures of myself from childhood, pictures of my parents who've passed away, mementos, candles, flowers. I create a beautiful space in my home. And doing that is like turning the light switch on to the birthday spirit. And suddenly the birthday spirit is in the house. And I feel anticipatory for the day to come. So that's number one. That's a ritual that I do that brings beauty and meaning and spirit into the home. And then in the morning when I wake up, I've learned that if I don't have a spiritual moment with myself to get centered, and I just jump into my day's activities, I often feel like I'm not present. Like, wait, what happened? Where am I? As if the bus took off without me. And so what I do now in the mornings is I wake up and I either journal, but I'll go sit in front of my altar, regardless of if I journal or not, and have a quiet moment with myself. Just me. I'll light the candle. Maybe I'll pick an angel card with a word on it. And I will just tune into my spirit, tune into my life, and offer gratitude for this life I've been given, this life I'm living, this life I'm creating, and gratitude for me. Let me be grateful for myself and for this life and for my spirit and for all the forces of the universe that created me. We're all miracles. So let's tune into that source of the fact that we're miracles means, we're made from the stars. Let's tune into that and honor ourselves. And I don't mean in like an ego-centered, big-headed way, but I mean in a real humble, grace-filled way to say, wow, thank you so much for this life I am living, for letting me be this person that I am. And that moment with yourself, that moment to tune into yourself and to give gratitude to spirit and whatever whatever your higher power is a wonderful way to start the birthday. It's very rich with spirit. And then you don't have to even spend that much time and then go on and do your thing. Some people like to do yoga in the morning or just have coffee in their garden in the morning. And that's their quiet moment. But have a quiet moment with yourself is what I recommend for first thing in the morning.
I love that. So what about like throughout the day? If somebody's like, I don't want to spend a ton of money celebrating myself, but I want to do something fun and creative, what would you suggest? If I came to you and I said, look, I just filed bankruptcy, I have $0. Tell me how I can celebrate my birthday tomorrow.
Well, so we talked about your morning rituals. We talked about going into the garden and having your, tune into nature, go for your walk by the river, go to the beach. There's all sorts of nature-based activities. We know how good we feel in nature. Even if it's just our own garden or the park. So let yourself go and be uplifted by that. Turn on the radio, not your playlist, just turn on the radio and let it sing to you. And you'd be surprised what comes through on your birthday, right? To elevate and bring magic. Make a birthday collage. This is something I love to do on my birthday. I'm an artist. I love being creative on my birthday. Sometimes I have more time for it. Sometimes I don't. I get my magazines. I get the glue stick. I get the piece of rigid cardboard. And I'm not making a vision board, I'm just making something beautiful with glitter. And then I find one word that I want to invoke for the coming year. In the magazine, I just find it. And then, one year it was Adventure Awaits. And I thought that was that was the year my book got published, Adventure Awaits. And I thought that was such a wonderful blessing to create for myself in a birthday collage. And so there are many ways that you can be creative without spending any money, except for the glue stick and the glitter. But find ways to get into the community. Tell strangers it's your birthday. That doesn't cost anything, but tell them. Your neighbor walking the dog, if you go get a cup of coffee, tell the barista, they will light up for you and give you positive energy. Like, happy birthday. Everybody's happy for other people when it's their birthday because we all know what it feels like when it's our birthday. It's very rare. I only told one person once in my entire years that I've been doing this, it goes, it's my birthday today. He said nothing. Like, he had absolutely no response. Like, it meant nothing to him that I told him it was my birthday. But other than that one time, everybody lights up. And they're delighted that you've let them in on the secret. They're delighted you've given them an opportunity to give you good energy, because that's love. Even with strangers, it's a form of love.
I love that. And I will tell you what I asked for my birthday this year is we have this little space out in our yard, and it's just nothing. And we are going this weekend and we're going to just remake it over. And it's going to be my little oasis outside.
Oh, so beautiful. That ties in
perfectly. But I asked what I wanted, or I asked for what I wanted this year for my birthday. And we're going to do it together, and actually as a family, we're all going to kind of have our own little pieces to it. But yeah, that's very exciting.
That's beautiful. And that's a gift that's going to keep giving throughout the year, right? And be a place of regeneration and calm. Beautiful. Look at that.
I love it. So let's talk about what not to do. You talk about avoiding perfectionism and almost rigid traditions, I guess. Like, you have to be here, you have to do this, so tell me what not to do on my birthday.
Don't do anything that starts to feel like you have to or else, right? You have to blah, blah, or else. It starts to become too controlling versus just like, you know what? Like, you have to have cake and candles. Do you want cake and candles? I think that's a really important part of the birthday ritual. Some people don't want that. You don't have to have it, right? You don't have to have it. But if you've been doing it every year because that's what we do, and you're feeling yourself tense up at the thought of birthday cake and candles again, give yourself permission to say, I don't need to stay stuck to a ritual that I'm not invested in, that I don't care about. Own what's authentic for you, and it can change from year to year. There were some years where every year I had to make a birthday collage. I had to, like, that was part of my day's activities. Well, in later years, especially when I got married and I was with my husband and he was my playmate on my birthday, and he's a great birthday buddy. He takes the day off work to celebrate my birthday, which I love, and very much in support of whatever I want to do. And he's wonderful that way. I suddenly was going to museums on my birthday, which I love doing. And I was going out into the world with him. I didn't have as much time to sit home alone doing my birthday collage. And so, and I would feel anxious about that. Like, I need to do my birthday collage. It's like, yeah, but tomorrow, this year, that's not what it's about. You're out in the world with your husband, do it on a little road trip. So relaxing the rules, relaxing the traditions and the rituals based on what's actually showing up for you in any given year. I still do my birthday collages, but I'm not as rigidly attached to getting them done in the same, it's like, let's just follow each year as it comes. So that's just one example of not being attached to the rituals. If they don't feel good or they're it changes for you. I'm going to be celebrating my 60th birthday in India. We're going to take a big trip to India. I'll be turning 60 there. I don't think I'm going to be making a birthday collage in India. I'm not going to have time for that. I'm going to be out, So that's okay. That's appropriate for the year to come for that particular birthday. But in terms of perfectionism, I had, there's a story actually of a woman that I interviewed. I interviewed a lot of people for this book about their birthday experiences. And her story was that all she wanted was a particular cake for her birthday. That's all she wanted. She was really excited. It was like a naked cake with a certain kind of frosting. She went to the bakery weeks in advance. Was very specific about what she wanted, the flavor, the frosting, the whole thing. So on her birthday, she got her manicure. She went to the bakery to pick up the cake and the order was wrong. They got it wrong. She was so upset. That's all she wanted was that cake and they got it wrong. And she was fuming. You know that feeling like, folks, I what happened here? She talked to the manager and no one was empathetic. They were harried. They were in the crowd. Like no one was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. It's your birthday. That must feel terrible for you. They weren't giving her that. So it added fuel to the fire. She was so upset that she finally realized this is no way to celebrate a birthday. Time out. Let me reframe this. Let me just let it go and go make the best of my day without the perfect cake that I wanted. And that was a real lesson for her because it's a lesson not just for your birthday, but also for life. Yeah. And that's the neat thing about the birthday is that when we show up for ourselves on our birthday and really give it our full intention and effort and planning, it gives us gifts of empowerment and delight that we can then put into play for the rest of your year. I don't believe every day is a birthday. I believe we get one day a year and it's the actual day. If my birthday's on a Tuesday and I'm celebrating on a Saturday night with my friends, my birthday's still on Tuesday. And it's funny, that's actually true for me this year. And I am celebrating with friends in New York in advance on a Saturday night. But, my husband's like, okay, well, which restaurant, blah, blah, blah. And I say to him, I go, you know what? I love that I'm having a birthday party on Saturday night with my friends. It kind of doesn't matter if it's perfect or not because it's not my birthday. If it was really my birthday, like on Tuesday, I'd be like, it's got to be this restaurant. And I mean, it's amazing to me how powerful the actual birthday is for being in alignment with the magic of the day that I really want things to be right on my birthday. And that's something that it's not that I'm attached to perfection. I'm just attached to creating and hopefully getting what I want on my birthday. And so when we can do that, it does instill wisdom that we can then take throughout the rest of the year to learn what it feels like to create other situations that are in alignment with what we want.
I love it. You said in an interview that I watched of yours that your birthday is kind of like your New Year's, right?
Personal New Year. Yeah.
Your personal New Year. It's not, oh, I'm going to make this commitment to go to the gym and then stop going to the gym. But now I'm looking because this is how I am. I'm like, okay, 42. What do I want to get done in 42? So do you plan your year out or do you just take that day to kind of center yourself and figure out, okay, what's next? Or how do you navigate that, I guess, for your next year?
The way I look at it is that if our birthday is our own personal New Year, it's not about resolutions like going to the gym. It's about asking yourself, am I fulfilled with the life I am living? Am I fulfilling my potential? Am I happy? If not, what can I do in the coming year? What adjustments can I make to get more in alignment with the person I want to be, the life I want to be living, the things I want to be doing? Ask yourself those questions. It's not a plan like in February, my birthday's in January. In February, I'm going to do this. In March, I'm going to do this. It's more like, oh, wow, I'm an artist and I've been so busy with other things that I haven't been painting as much. I haven't been as creative. So I'm not fulfilled as an artist right now, let's say, as I look at my life. And so what can I do to bring more creativity into my daily life or into my weekly life or into my monthly life so that I can fulfill the dreams I have living this life with this talent I have as an artist? And that's the kind of thinking I encourage people to do on their birthday. It's not to pick yourself apart and criticize yourself and put yourself into shape. It's just to ask yourself with kindness, with compassion, with an open heart, what more do I want out of my life in this coming year? And if you ask yourself what's not working, there might be some big answers that can be scary to you. It might be your relationship that's not working. It might be your job that's not working, right? It might be certain friendships that aren't working. Those are scary to confront. It's much easier to just say, I don't want to look at it. But your birthday is so personal and spiritual and sacred that it's appropriate to ask those questions if you want, to say, you know what, in the coming year, I want to make adjustments in my relationship, not to leave my relationship or shatter it, but to work on it so that there can be more harmony, less criticism, less sarcasm, more positivity. Those are things under our control. We can do that.
Love it. before we move on to becoming your own birthday coach, I have a few questions that I didn't kind of prepare for this, because now that we're talking, and this is kind of how my podcast works, right? We get into this and I'm like, so for someone like me who has to share a birthday, now I'm blessed to share a birthday, but I didn't have a choice. My brother came when he was ready. How do you celebrate each other? Because I'm big on celebrating people on their birthdays. I love to celebrate other people's birthdays with them. And my brother lives 4 hours away from me, so we don't celebrate together anyway. But how do we celebrate each other with still keeping that our own?
It's a really good question. Really good question. And it's a question that's as individual as the people celebrating the shared birthdays. Some people love the bond of the shared birthdays. Sometimes it's a parent and a child. My childhood's best friend shared her birthday with her dad. It was just a sacred, extra special day because of that. They loved each other so much. In a situation that you're talking about, like you and your brother, and I can imagine, I would have felt the same way turning 15 if I had a sibling 15 years suddenly show up on my birthday. I'd feel like, wait, they're pushing me out of my limelight. It's all about them now, because the birthday allows us to be in the limelight one day a year, and we all get it. So it's an equal opportunity provider. But in terms of sharing, I think it's important for us, especially as we grow up and get more into our own lives, our own identities, and separate out from the families, the family of origin dynamics that we're part of, especially if we're sharing birthdays with those kinds of family members, is to say, hey, what do I want to do? I know I'm supposed to XYZ because my sibling or my parent or my child shares my birthday with me, but actually, what do I want to do outside of that shared birthday, outside of that other person's birthday? And if the answer is, I'd like some alone time this year, I actually don't want a birthday party with one cake for two people. You can find a way to get comfortable to create that for yourself. And I say get comfortable because it's very uncomfortable to break habits that have been ritualized and, normalized for your whole life up until this point. But if you're all of a sudden finding like, what, I don't want to share a cake with anybody else but me. I don't want to share a birthday party. I don't want it to be me and him or her or whoever in this birthday energy. Allow yourself permission to take some space. And one way to do that is go out of town, go on a trip. Say, this year, I'm not going to be available for our co-birthday party. I'm going to go on a road trip. That's one way to start to break the patterns so that it's understandable. You can go on a road trip on your birthday. You're not actively rejecting anybody. You're just choosing to do something else. But find a way to, honor, right, the other person. Happy birthday. I hope you have a great day. I'm about ready to go have some fun myself. And that's it. I mean, you don't have to be enmeshed, I guess is what my message is, unless you want to and unless that's what makes you happiest.
Love it. And then I guess along those lines, because I know I have some listeners who have birthdays on major holidays, whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas or even the 4th of July sometimes, where it feels like the world is celebrating or wherever they're at right now is celebrating, but they're not celebrating you. So how do you find that, hey, but what about me? Space?
Yeah. And I've met and talked to those people for sure. And, on one hand, you're extra special because your birthday aligns with a really special day. Now, Thanksgiving, it's not every year, because it moves. But those other holidays you mentioned, including New Year's, it's fixed, right? So first off, there's meaning in that. If you're a 4th of July baby, ask yourself, am I living as autonomously with as much freedom as possible, right? Independence and freedom and autonomy is your thing, right? If you're a New Year's baby, it's all about renewal, endings and new beginnings and, shedding those skins. And so, find the meaning. But in terms of actually being able to celebrate when other people aren't really around and available and able to focus on you, it's all the more important for you to plan ahead what would bring you joy on your birthday and figure out how to make that happen on the day. So let's say it's Christmas Day, you celebrate the holiday, you're with your family, open up the presents in the morning, have your quiet time in the morning, maybe wake up earlier before it's gift giving time, have your quiet moment with yourself to tune into your spirit, to give gratitude, show up for the gift giving time. And then afternoon time, evening time, fine. It's now birthday time. There's no reason you can't decorate for Christmas and also decorate for your birthday at the same time, and find that special time for people to gather around you for celebrating your birthday. You can ask for that. If they're not available for it, maybe you're not part of your family structure in the same way and you're just, living alone and people are doing their own things, then you have to work harder to determine what will satisfy and nourish your soul and then make those things happen.
I love it because I feel like, especially people who have birthdays on Christmas or New Year's, they talk all the time about, oh, well, I don't get 2 special days, So I think hearing that and allowing them, sometimes we need permission, whether it's from somebody else or from yourself. Somebody needs to say it's okay to celebrate you.
Oh, it's not only okay, it's imperative. It's just that you can't expect other people to be available for you the way they would be if your birthday was December 15th, right? That's just the facts. So you just have to accept the fact that this lifetime you share a birthday with baby Jesus and he's getting a lot of attention, right? And so how do you carve out the time for yourself? How do you may not have that big, fabulous birthday party when you turn 50 on Christmas Day, but it doesn't mean you can't have it 5 days before. You can, or a week before, or a month before, but then on the actual day, find the rituals and the things that nourish you, that uplift your spirit, that make you feel good. And it might be more solitary in nature or just with another person. And that just, it may not be what's ideal, and you may feel like you're longing for something differently, but that's the way it is. So work with it. Find what you can work with, and then amplify that.
Great. So you've mentioned it a few times, but you wrote a book called How to Have a Happy Birthday. And I know that it kind of ties in, and not kind of, it's a self-help book as well. And there's just a lot of different things to it, to where, again, it's not just about your birthday. The things that you talk about, I can relate to for my everyday life. Asking permission, being there intentionally, finding my spiritual center when I'm having that moment. So let's talk about the book, and then your kind of how to be your own birthday coach program that you have.
Yeah. Well, as you say, it is a self-help book. The title of the cover is very, warm and friendly and inviting, with a birthday cake and candles, and it's very happy. And some people that have read it were sort of like surprised, like, wow, this was far more than I thought it would be. They thought it would be sort of a superficial story of, how to match your cupcakes to your confetti and your tablecloth, which is fine. Go ahead and do that. But the book's not about that. It really is a self-help book to dive into why birthdays are important, why they're worth celebrating, ways we sabotage our birthdays, and then how to plan for, prepare, and actually show up on the day, ways to celebrate others. And even the last chapter is how to celebrate people with serious illness that might not have another birthday past this one. Like, how do we show up for them? And I really run the gamut. And it is a thoughtful book. And in the back, there's questions. There's also a separate workbook where you can write in, which helps you understand what some of your birthday issues might be. Like, what are some of the stories that happened to me to make me so afraid of my birthdays or negative? What does society tell me about aging? You've got the midlife edit. Why is being midlife or older a 4-letter word? Why is aging a bad thing? I challenge that. And I ask people to ask themselves those questions, what they think they're losing as they age. And we do lose things as we age, by the way. Let's not pretend we don't. But I also then say, what have you gained with age that you did not have when you were young? Exactly. But I ask people to write that out and be thoughtful so that we can externalize. A lot of us just have these deep voices that are hidden that govern us without even realizing it. It's our subconscious. What happens when we make that which is hidden up for us to pay attention to and look at and clarify? Then we can work with it. Then we can say, aha, I get it. I'm going to start approaching it this way. So it's a self-help book, and it's for people who are interested in having a happier birthday wherever you are on the birthday spectrum. You say you're birthday positive, you are, but look what you just learned about yourself, about the subconscious sabotage that you've been running without even realizing it. So, and you love your birthdays, which is great. So the book is really for everybody who's interested in having a happier birthday from wherever they are on that birthday spectrum.
And I think it's such a great thing because society tells us, especially as women, but men and women, if you look at your 50th, 60th, 70th birthday party, if you go to a party city or something, what do they show you? It's all RIP and goodbye young me and all this negative, and for me, I love it. I loved turning 40. Yeah. I embrace change and being midlife and growing old. I just, how blessed are we to be able to grow old?
Absolutely.
I love that so much. And I think that it is a fun cover and a fun book, but it's so deep once you get into it that you'll be really surprised when you read it on how much like I said, just everyday life. There are a lot of lessons that you can take and roll with. So let's talk about becoming your own birthday coach.
Yeah. So I actually am a birthday coach. I mean, I've just hung up my shingle. I have my website, howtohaveahappybirthday.com, and you can contact me there. And I have a birthday coach, because people, I realize that actually there's a place for someone like me to help people talk out some of their birthday issues and actually, like you and I just did, right?
Yeah.
And then talk about what might be fun and joyful for you to do on your birthday. So I basically want, if you want to work with me, you fill out a questionnaire in advance so that we can get to know what some of your issues are. We schedule a 1-hour call just like this, talk to each other, look at each other and dive into the issues and then figure out what would be a good plan for you to do for your birthday. And then we have one more call a week after your birthday to say what worked, what didn't, what did you learn for next year? And I hope that it's a one and done situation. Like once it's like learning how to ride a bike. Once you're up and off the training wheels, you can do it for yourself moving on. So it's really a one-time situation is what I envision. But so yes, I am officially a birthday coach now. And in terms of being your own birthday coach, you can absolutely do that too. I think a good place to start is to pick up a copy of my book and read it and fill out the workbook questions. Again, you can buy the workbook separately and write in it like a journal. There's room for that. And then get your own insights and come up with your own ideas. And, I get really satisfied. I have to tell you, I hear back from people now like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I had no idea. This was so transformative. Thank you so much. And I feel so grateful that I was able to help just one person put themselves in the center of their life, just one day a year, honor themselves, support themselves, empower themselves, and delight themselves with their birthday experience because it's healing to do that. It heals us. And when we become healed just a little bit, we become better people and the world becomes better one person at a time.
And when you heal yourself, then you can help other people. And I talk about it all the time. It's the airplane thing, you have to put your mask on yourself first before you can help somebody else. And this is a great way to start it. Starting out my year at 42, being centered and knowing that I am living out what I want to in my life and fixing what I'm not. And I just think that's so, so great. I am going to link your book and we're going to share it. I want you all to go buy it. But Tamar, before we leave, I do like to do some rapid fire questions.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, cake or pie on your birthday?
Oh, cake, 100%.
What kind of cake?
Strawberry cream, strawberry chantilly. Yeah.
Balloons or flowers?
Flowers.
Big party or intimate dinner?
Intimate dinner.
Surprise party. Love them or leave them?
Ooh, that's a tricky one. Ooh, I can't answer that one. I've been surprised once by someone showing up at my party that I didn't expect. That was wonderful. Oh boy, I don't know. I've never had a surprise party, so I don't know how to answer that question. I'm open to it. Yeah.
You hear that out there, husband? She's open. So the best birthday song version, do you like the classic or do you like something totally remixed?
Oh, classic, 100%.
I love it. I love the birthdays. I am so excited to watch you turn 60. I'm going to follow your journey on Instagram. Where can my listeners find you?
Well, the best place to find me and my book is howtohaveahappybirthday.com. You can also find my social links there. You can, I have an audiobook, I have an ebook. There's all sorts of ways for people to access the book. It's not just, there's hardback, there's paperback, it's whatever works for you. So howtohaveahappybirthday.com is a great first place to go.
I love that. We're going to link that in the show notes. Tamar, if you could leave my midlife women who really struggle with age sometimes and knowing who they are, if you could leave them with one thought right now, what would it be?
Aging is a privilege. We all know people who didn't make it to our age. And if they did, would we judge them for being older? Would we judge them for having gray hair? No, we would be delighted that they were still here with us. So keep that in mind as each year you get another candle on the cake, that it is a privilege to have that extra candle on the cake. And that when we choose to take our joy into our own hands and celebrate our birthday with the power and the planning and the fulfillment that the day deserves, it can really create uplift and expansiveness in our lives that's transformational, that can help us embrace each year as it comes.
I love it. Tamar, thank you so much. And on this note, I'm going to go celebrate and have my happy birthday.
Yay.
We're really, really thankful for you being here. Again, I'm going to link everything in the show notes. And then until next time.
Thanks so much, Jen. I'm so delighted that we got to do this on your birthday eve, and I hope you have the most fabulous birthday tomorrow.
I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. Another awesome interview with another awesome author who really makes you think and really goes into the nitty-gritty of things that we could potentially do better in our lives if we give ourselves permission to. I'm going to go out and celebrate my birthday. I am going to take everything that she wrote in her book and really take it into heart. I really want you to go out and get her book, How to Have a Happy Birthday. You will love it. You will give yourself permission to celebrate you. And Tamar was such a great interview. And again, I say it all the time, but I'm so thankful for this platform because I get to meet such amazing women like Tamar and all of my other guests. And they all give us really great insight on everything. So if it's your birthday soon, happy birthday. If it's not your birthday soon, happy birthday. I really want to hear how you're celebrating this year. So let me know. Shoot me a DM, shoot me an email at jen@themidlifeeditco.com. Make sure that you go on Facebook and you join the Midlife Edit Insiders group on Facebook. We'll talk about birthdays. And until next time, this is the Midlife Edit. Let's make it a damn good chapter.